let's start with number 10 through the door. Matt Clark came across very well in his first interview yesterday. How pleased were you with that signing?
Yeah, delighted. I mean, it's a position that we've been looking to fill for quite a time and a while now. It gives that stability, gives that balance, experience. Played his games in the Championship. I don't think Brighton signed Muggs for any reason, and and he's obviously been there for a while. A good lad, good character as well, and gives that stability that we've been desperately needed. You know, Mark's played there out of position, and he's done a job for us. I've talked in length about Paddy playing in his natural position, which I feel it is. And we need a solid and settled back five, and I'm sure when we get that, with the goalkeeper in place, I'm sure we'll start picking up clean sheets and give us the ability to win games 1-0, which I should imagine, and you all know that managers love to win.
Another new arrival earlier in the week, Rodrigo. What about him? And with both of them, are they kind of ready to be involved?
Yeah, they'll both be involved on Saturday, and it's another one that I think when we've talked in these press conferences regarding players and having to be patient and wait, which hasn't been ideal, and we all understand that. But we had to wait because he was at a club that at the time, you know, he wasn't allowed to leave. But I think there's been a lot of noise as well with Rodrigo over the past 2 or 3 weeks, and potentially coming here, and we're delighted to get him. He gives us a presence, gives us power. It gives us an option that we've lost, or we need another one in terms of with the situation with Chuba. I think you all understand I have to be a little bit coy at times regarding injuries and whatever. Chuba's going to be out for 4 weeks, which is a huge blow for us, and it's a huge blow for him as well because of his performances so far this season. And when he comes on against QPR, he gives us that physical presence. When he plays against Sheffield United, he gives us that physical presence, and it's something that we've liked and missed. We didn't have it at Reading. Maybe that was the reason we played too intricate, too slow, too precise, because we didn't have that target to go into. Well, we know now we've got that target to go into, and with Chuba coming back and hopefully another one through the door, sort of at the top of the pitch, we'll get to where we want to get.
So it's the last week of questions about the transfer market, but there's still a few questions. You've got 10 in. Are you hoping for more?
Definitely, yeah. There's another 2/3 that hopefully we'll fill, and we'll doing our utmost to fill. We need competition in midfield. I think you saw that at the weekend. The 3-game week took its toll on a couple of players, and I think especially early on in the season, we would have flipped that around and shuffled the pack a little bit. We can't expect Johnny to play 3 games in 3 games in 6 days at his age, and the amount that he expands, excuse me, and the amount the team and the way the team plays. We've been desperately unlucky with Matt Crooks in terms of his illness, so he could only do 45 minutes, so he would have started at Reading. So definitely. In the 2 central areas, we need competition and good players to come through the door, and we're working hard to make that happen.
How difficult is it, just in terms of headspace, to keep your head across what's happening in the transfer market and what you'd like to happen, and at the same time having to do all the other things you've got to do at the training ground, picking the team, that kind of thing?
I think we all understand that. I'll be delighted when the window shuts, because then I can really concentrate on that. But I have to anyway, so. Yeah, it is a distraction, and one that I've talked openly and honestly about, that I don't think we should have to deal with. But it does. It seems to keep the excitement in the game. Well, I'm not really bothered about the excitement in the game. I'm bothered about preparing the team and everybody getting settled and working towards a really tough and difficult season, because we all know it is. Everybody knows that I think pundits and experts, and I think the majority of our supporters will look at our group and say that we need additions, and obviously we've talked about it, that we might have to be patient and wait, which we have been patient, and we are waiting, and maybe has that affected results? I 100% believe it has. Will we get the results that we're all after once the window's settled, shuts, and the team settles down, and we're at our strongest? I believe 100% we will, and so we have to take the pain. We've had to take the pain. We've put undue pressure on ourselves, because I believe we should have got a win long before now. But we're here to win, so we have to look at ourselves and take that responsibility that we've made mistakes that have not sort of allowed us to go and get that win that we're all after.
Looking at the football, looking at the search to get that first win, obviously you haven't got it yet, everyone would have liked it, but if you sort of peel back the onion a bit, maybe a couple of performances you're not that happy with, but apart from that, is it maybe not far away?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's small details. I think it's periods of games as well. Even on Saturday, you know, first half we just lacked intensity. We lacked a bit of creativity. We played too slow, too ponderous. We played too safe against a team that sat in and made it difficult for us. We made a mistake. They scored. They sit back. Second half, we play quicker, we play with more intensity, we play with more risk, and we create chances. Should we finish them chances off? Absolutely, 100%. And we did more than enough to get a result and get a positive result. You know, speaking to Paul afterwards, and I know he has to say certain things to the media, but I think, you know, when he talks about, you know, after 70 minutes, you know, he'd have took a draw. Maybe we'd have took a draw as well. But that sort of our attitude to it was that we needed to go and get back in and get a goal and then try and get a win. Yet again, I've got to say that's my third report I've put in about referees and officials in 5 games, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not just doing it just for the sake of it. You know, there's an absolute reason why I'm putting these reports in. You know, one linesman's been involved in 2 disallowed goals, in my opinion, that weren't disallowed. I believe, you know, that Matt Crooks wasn't offside, and the boy stood in the line of Zach Steffen. So 100% we're getting no look or we're on the receiving end of some really bad decisions that need to change, because 3 reports in 5 games shouldn't be. And I'm not frivolous with my approach to that. I'm not looking at it through rose-tinted glasses. I'm putting these reports in that I don't really need to. And take time and effort because of a reason. So we need the bounce of a ball to change there in refereeing decisions. But small parts of games are costing us. So we have to look at ourselves first and foremost and take responsibility for that. Make sure we iron that out. And I'm sure the 2 boys coming in will certainly give us a better chance of ironing out those periods that we seem to drop off in and get punished with.
I noticed that you played Swansea at the weekend. I noticed their manager Russell Martin said yesterday in his press conference that he felt that 5 games into a championship season was too soon to judge his team. Do you think you might be in a similar boat there?
Well, I think that they're playing better than maybe their position is, and I think our position is a false one, but we have to accept it. It is what it is, and I don't like it, and I don't think Russell would like it. And I don't, let's get it right. We all want to be top of the division. Regardless if we play well or not. Maybe there are a couple of teams up there that are getting these decisions, that are riding the luck a little bit, and I suppose, pundits talk and experts talk about us, and we'll have seen our game in detail in general, and we'll look at what we've got, and we'll no doubt see that we will eventually start to win games of football. But we're in now at the present to win games of football, and I can talk about refereeing decisions. I can talk about the squad not being strong enough. I can talk about a little bit of, unfortunate situations regarding a couple of the players being injured. But the top and bottom of it is that I live in the present, and when it needs saying to the players, whether we're top of the league or the position that we are, if I'm not happy with certain aspects of my team's performance, I won't spin it. I won't cover it up. I'll say it as it is, and Saturday first half wasn't good enough in terms of the standards that we've set and I've set for them.
So from what you're saying there, have you had a bit of a frank exchange of views with?
We always have frank exchange of views, always. There's never a time where it isn't. There's never a time, and I think the players will understand that, and will agree and speak to you guys about it, that honesty is always there in both ways. I thought they were terrific against Sheffield United, against the top team in the division. Really, really good. And even Tuesday night, we didn't deserve that result, but we made one mistake and were heavily punished for it, and yet again receiving end of a really poor refereeing decision. So there's always a frank exchange. There's always an honest opinion on everything. And I said it was going to be a tough week, regardless of the things that we've talked about. It has been a tough week, and we need to get out the traps. We need to stop making these silly mistakes, play to our potential. Because I believe when this team does fire, it'll be a good team and it'll win games of football in this division.
So it is Swansea. What particular challenges do you see from them?
As always, really technical side, keep the ball very, very well. Got real technical players, can frustrate you, can open you up. The top three are really good players, Incham and Pirro and Obafemi, Joe Allen and Grimes in the middle of the park are really good players. So, you know, they had a strong end to the season, and another club like we talked about that are ex Premier League and will want to have a successful season, will want to have to push towards the playoffs. So playing a different way, another challenge. We try and impose our style and our structure onto them, but knowing that, you know, we have to get a lot of things right tomorrow. Anybody listening to this will hear the optimism still that you're coming with, but your life and everyone connected with the club's life gets better when you win a game, doesn't it? 100%, yeah, of course it does. And that's what we're here to do. So when we all come away from the game, you know, we're not jumping through hoops, and supporters, you know, they come to see us perform and play at the best of our ability. And when we don't, they're disappointed and upset and frustrated and angry. As much as we all are. There's not an happy person at this football club at the moment, even though you guys, and thanks for talking about us as you are, have seen it in a positive way, and I get that, because we all have to, but we're here to win, and we're here to entertain, and we're here to, you know, excite, but ultimately supporters come to football matches, staff, players, everybody connected to the football club wants their club to win, and we're no different.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Chris, just picking up on the Chubracom injury stuff, is that 4 weeks from when the injury happened, or is it 4 weeks from now?
Yeah, 4 weeks when the injury happened, so it'll be close to the international break. So it's really disappointing one for him and us, really. You know, it's we've had to deal with some, you know, some situations that really have been quite difficult to deal with. And obviously Chuba's quite a big one with that.
Yeah, I guess on the flip side of that, you know, getting Rodrigo Muniz when you have is timely, and then that week to work with the likes of, you know, Marcus Fors and Matthew Hoppe, who came in kind of during the season, you know, all bonuses off the back of that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, not too much pressure on Matty. He's a young project, but obviously Marcus has had experience in the Championship. And Matty played in the 23s on Monday night, which I went down to watch, and the young boys played ever so well. Yeah, we've had a free week, and we, you know, but still, as you know, it's not overnight. It's not, you know, players don't just pick it up straight away. Every team's got a different way of playing, a different structure in and out of possession. There's a lot of information, really only working on Thursday and Friday from the tactical point of view, Thursday and today, and that'll get better, and they'll understand more, the likes of Marcus, different way of playing, and obviously Rodrigo coming in, young boy, and Matt, he played that system at West Brom, so, you know, and he's an experienced boy, so I'm expecting him to pick it up pretty much straight away, and no doubt he will.
Have you had much chance to kind of assess Matt's kind of conditioning? Because, you know, with listening to the club interview yesterday, the one thing he did say was pre-season as being, you know, rather frustrating for him. So.
Well, you know, I think this. You look at the boy, and he would have done his work diligently. You know, he came in Wednesday as well, so to do work. So he's in an okay condition, but he will get better with games and time on the training pitch. And I think one thing that, you know, we talk about here is the intensity of training as well. So, you know, he'll hopefully improve and pick it up. I think it's always difficult when you're when you're out the picture at a club and you may be, you know, not part of the first team group. But I think that shows from a mentality point of view where he's at, that he would have got on with it, and knowing that he needs to be in a good condition, because when that move does happen, and I'm delighted that he has happened, that he's ready to hit the ground running, and I'm sure he will be.
Yeah, and you know, little bits of talk after Reading. You mentioned it yourself, and some pundits have mentioned it. Kind of, you know, tactical changes and things like that. I mean, presumably at this time you're not quite ready to, you know, take any bulldozers to it or anything.
If anybody's talked about it tactically, they haven't got a clue. It's not anything to do with tactical. It's a way of playing, and it's minor details. It's nothing to do tactically. Yeah. And if it was, I'd change it. And if I thought it was, then we'd change shape. I've coached every shape. Coached 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, a 10 and 2 9s. There's always little tweaks. Nothing to do. 75% possession, 700 passes. XG second highest in the division. XG against fourth best in the division. So if we get them right, second and fourth means we'd be third. Would you say?
Yeah.
So, you know, everybody wants to jump on things. I've had this all my career. You know, I had it when we were in the Premier League with Sheffield United. You know, everything's been sussed and found out, and this and it's nonsense. It really is nonsense. And if I did think it, then tomorrow afternoon you'd see it, because I'm bright. You know, we're intelligent staff, and if we think that, you know, things need to tweak or change, or we need to take a wrecking ball to it, I'll take a wrecking ball to it. The reason that we didn't get the result is because the players played at a slow speed. I think it was quite difficult as well, because we didn't have a physical presence at the top of the pitch. I don't really want to go and stick Dale Fry as centre forward or Matt Crooks as centre forward. So, you know, we had to try and work them out a different way, but we didn't work them out because our play was too slow, too ponderous, and we didn't risk. When we had a chance to cross it, we didn't cross it. But it was all right second half, and they sat in the same positions first half and in the second half. And it wasn't a tactical issue against Stoke, it wasn't a tactical issue against Sheffield United, it wasn't a tactical issue against QPR, it wasn't a tactical issue against West Brom. So I'm not so sure it's a tactical issue. Yeah. Sorry for being so blunt.
No, you're right. Well, just picking up on what you said on the referees and you know, right into the referees. You experienced VAR obviously when you were part of the Premier League. Is that something that you think could be introduced into, you know, the Championship or the EFL as a whole to make things better?
It is quite difficult because of the expense of it all. But certainly, of course, yeah. You know, and I've got to say, I wasn't at the time, but I think it's growing. I think it's getting better. I think there was some incredible poor decisions in the first year, which I think, you know, maybe that teething problem was that, and they didn't get it right, and, you know, players scoring and everybody waiting around for 5 minutes, and that it seems to have got a lot better. There's not, I've got to say, I don't, you know, listening and obviously keeping my finger on the pulse in the Premier League as well, there doesn't seem to be an awful amount of discussion regarding VAR this year, and poor decisions. It was the topic of everything in the first year. It's died down in the second year, and I'm sure through years it will die down. So yeah, definitely, because I'm writing 3 times out of 5, and I'm not, like I said to you, I'm not writing just because I fancy sticking a pen in my hand and trying to blame it on anybody else. We all look at it and we go, have we got a case? And we go, 100%. The boy stood in the line of the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper didn't dive. It's a great strike. We get fobbed off again. It's a foul on Izzy Jones. You know, the QPR one we talked about. It's not an offside, in our opinion, on Saturday when Matt Crooks penalty. So, you know, these are all things that I'm not writing just for the sake of it. And, you know, it's 3 out of 5 really from an experienced manager. You know, I think, like I said, it's whether we're just getting them being a little bit rusty, and because we know that, you know, maybe they'll look at us and say, well, you might be a bit rusty, which I suppose they might say, well, that's fair enough. I don't think they should have opinion on us, how we play. But I think I can certainly have an opinion on them because some really poor decisions that we're on the wrong end of.
Just going back to transfers, Chris, obviously you've mentioned what you'd like to bring in. Is there still any possibilities of any outgoings, or would you like to keep it?
No, the only one is we're looking at Josh, but obviously he's out injured. There might be a possibility that he might go out, stay with us for the next 3 or 4 weeks, get himself back to training, return to training, and then go out and get some games. Obviously, it's been a really disappointing sort of pre-season and start of the season for him in terms of his injury. So he's the only one. Everybody else, we've done our business. I think one of the hardest things in football is getting people out as well at this time. So looking at it, I don't want to lose anybody. I think we've done extremely well to move players on. And I know we all understand that we've been short, and maybe that's impacted on us a little bit because we've not been at our strongest, and I think that's a fair thing to say. I'm sure that if we were and we'd have got things that have happened, which unfortunately not being able to happen, we wouldn't be in this position. But we have to accept that and move on and work towards when that window's shut, which I've been consistent with.
Yeah, and just finally for me, you did see it after the Preston game at the end of last season that some exits would surprise us this summer, and I think one that probably surprised most would be Nathan Wood, who'll come up against Middlesbrough this weekend. I mean, or it just actually kind of, you're thinking on that and coming up against Nathan this weekend. Yeah,
well, we made a decision on it, and it goes with our best wishes. So I've got not a right lot to say about it. If I'm totally honest, he's a Swansea player and he's an opposing player on Saturday afternoon. So no doubt if he's playing, I don't know, did he come off? He got subbed, didn't he, after 45 minutes? Yeah. So if he plays, then we understand what the qualities that Nathan's got, and we have to be wary of those. And then hopefully, as Swansea will try and do, our qualities, try and expose us and impose their game on us, and we'll try and impose our qualities and try and expose the stuff that we think we can expose. Cheers, Craig.
Can I ask you again about the qualities, qualities that the new players are going to bring that we might see on Saturday?
Well, physical presence, excitement, especially at the top of the pitch with Rodrigo. I think everybody's looking forward to seeing him. Seeing him play gives us a physical presence. I know the club were interested in before he went to Fulham, and he shadowed Mitrovic last year, which is, it might be a little bit frustrating for him, but I suppose quite difficult to leave somebody out who scored 44, 45 goals or whatever he did and win the championship. But he wanted to come here. He wanted to be part of this. He wants to score goals and lead the line. We're delighted to get him in. And Matt Clark, it's a position that needed filling for quite a while, and we're delighted that we filled it. And Matt gives us experience of the championship. Plays his games, leadership qualities, balance as a left footer, and looking forward to really having a settled back five. We brought him into play, of course, and I'm sure he'll be a good addition to a decent group of players.
I can't remember the last time anyone scored 20 league goals for Middlesbrough. I think we've only had one player that scored 15 league goals in the last 20 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that kind of a target that could be?
Well, that's what we've looked for all summer.
Yeah.
All summer is that we needed goals in the team. I've talked about the XGs are ridiculous, second in the division. So we're creating chances left, right, and centre. And even second half, where I didn't think we were at our utmost best, our real top best. We've had 3, 4, 5 chances that we should score from. And it's all over the pitch, but definitely a centre forward that gets you 12, 20 goals, 15 to 20 goals is gold dust. We've struggled to get one in, and not too much pressure on Marcus as a young player. Tuba coming back, Duncan being in there, but certainly it's an area that we have been looking to fill, because it just make the difference. It turns, as I keep saying, it turns losses into draws into wins, draws into wins. That odd bit, and listen, Fulham had a top team, and Mitrovic scored 44 goals, and I think that's the reason, and a big weekly wage, which unfortunately, only one or two clubs can get near. Gives you that ability to go and sign those strikers that do make a difference.
And obviously you brought in Giles, so you wanted a route into the box from both flanks. And last season we had a period where we were really loading the box, especially towards the end of games.
Yeah.
But if you've got like a centre forward presence in there as well, that obviously makes a big difference, doesn't it? Massive
difference. We couldn't play how we wanted to play on Saturday, because of personnel, really. Because when teams sit deep without Boro in there, you have to find a different way of playing, but you still have to play a little bit quicker than pedestrian that we were. But it does give you the physical presence, and as I've said, I think I said in a previous interview, I think, speaking to Paul afterwards, he was delighted that Chuba weren't playing, because he knows that he'd give us that focal point like he did against QPR, like he did against Sheffield United, to go and play into and play off, and put crosses in the box, because we want to, we don't just want to pass it for the sake of passing it. We don't just want to play, and I've never told the players to play slow, which they recognised as well on Saturday afternoon, because that isn't how I want us to play. I want us to play aggressive. I want us to play with intensity, and when we cross the ball and when we play quick, we look a good side. When we don't, it's really slow. But as I said, I'm sure with Rodrigo at the top of the pitch, physical presence, Chuba coming back into the fold, when he gets back, then that allows us to do that. We've got to play wide and play centrally, and I'm sure we'll get the goals that our play, in my opinion, deserves. And you mentioned before about Kieran Scott and about the idea of having some continuity and an identity of a club. And looking at Swansea, they're a club that everyone knows the way that the Swansea players kind of like the pass masters. Yeah.
And there was a period where they lost that, and then they're back to it again.
Yeah.
Is that the sort of thing that you're talking about? For
I think everybody's got to have a thread and identity, and I think that when clubs go off plan and flip flop between one and the other, I think that's when difficulties start to happen. So they all have to. And Swansea are definitely one of those clubs that have got an identity, and they stick to it. They might tweak it a little bit, but they're ones that they sign players to fit a way of playing, and I think that's always the biggest ingredient that you need to get right.
Middlesbrough great died this week in David Armstrong, and he played over 350 games consecutively. You've been in football as a player and a manager for so many years. For any player to do that is an amazing thing.
Well, I had the privilege of knowing David. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet him up the road here, but going back in the day when I was a 16-year-old apprentice, I was cleaning his boots at Southampton. So I know all about David and that changing room, and his career. You look at it nowadays, and for players to play 15 or 20 games consecutively, sometimes gets a pat on the back. Not from me, really. I'm brought up in the old 42 games, was it, in a league? 42 games. So 42 games shows that he does something right. Shows that he looks after himself. He goes through the pain barrier, and he has that quality as well to keep his shirt as well. And obviously what he did at Middlesbrough was fantastic, playing all those games. And then he went into a changing room at Southampton that was unbelievably experienced and talented, like Keegan, Joe Jordan, Peter Shilton. I think at the time they had about 3 or 4 England captains in the changing room, and David fitted in seamlessly. And that, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure he gave me a couple of quid to clean his boots, but always really good with the young players and young apprentices, and obviously a great miss for for Middlesbrough, his family, and the area.